Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the People on the Go Lunch and Learn webinar. My name is Melissa Sweat. I'm Customer Relationship and Community Manager at People on the Go, and I'll be moderating our session today. But before we get into anything, let's just do a quick technology check to make sure that you can hear me just fine and see the screen. Go ahead and locate the questions panel and go to webinar and just type in a brief note, a hi, hello, an okay, just anything there to let me know that you can hear me. Thank you, Pat. Awesome. I see these coming in now. Thank you, Helena and Timothy. Perfect. Thank you guys so much. If you are needing help, by the way, the number to call is right there on the screen, 1-800-263-6317. I'll also be on to help as well. And of course, we will be sending out a recording of our presentation after, so you can review it at your leisure. Just a quick note if you're joining us for the first time, we have these lunch and learn sessions at People on the Go because our focus is productivity and leadership in the workplace. And the topics that you see on the screen are some of the topics that we cover in our workshops and webinars. We have a special offer for you today from our presenter, and Mitchell Levy will be telling you more about that toward the end of the presentation. So please do stay tuned for that. So you are here for how to write a nonfiction book in 8 hours that you use to grow your business. And I have with me Mitchell Levy, who I'll introduce now. Mitchell Levy is an accomplished entrepreneur who has created 20 businesses in Silicon Valley, including 4 publishing companies that have published over 800 books. Currently, Mr. Levy is the AHA guy at AHAthat and CEO of THiNKaha. He is a best-selling author with 56 business books and a contributor at Entrepreneur magazine. In addition to these accomplishments, Mr. Levy has provided strategic consulting to over 100 companies, advised over 500 CEOs on critical business issues, and has been chairman of the board of a NASDAQ-listed company. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mitchell. And this transition will take just a moment here.
Melissa, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It's always fun to hear your bio, isn't it? So let's see, show my screen. Aha. So are we seeing which screen are we seeing? Are you seeing
Looks like we're not in a slideshow or presenter mode just yet.
Got it. Okay, so I think what's happening is I've got to just switch the displays.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that'll help. How's that?
That is perfect. Yep, now we're in full screen.
Perfect. All right, great. Thanks. Hey, welcome to the webinar. Really good to have you here. Feel free to ask questions along the way, and Melissa will certainly reach out and let me know. And the topic, I want you to be thinking about: how do you write your book in 8 hours, and then what do you use it for? And so we're going to cover that in the next 20 minutes. First, I wanted you to think about, I said this last time, I'll say it again. Think about when people give you aha moments, give you an opportunity to sort of have that light bulb flash, and make sure you go back to the person who gave that to you and just let them know. It is such a sign. It is such a compliment. It is something they will remember. So when you're affecting other people or they affect you, make sure you let people know about that. Here's the agenda for today. I'm going to start off with what is a book, what's a social media enabled ebook, what are some of the tricks to writing a book in 8 hours. If it was really 8 hours, what would you do with it? How do you promote it? And then some closing thoughts. So let's talk about what is a book. If you go to Wikipedia and just sort of question what is a book, here's the definition. It's a set of written, printed, illustrated, blank sheets of paper or blank sheets of paper made of ink, parchment. Basically, you guys know what a book is, right? It's that element that has a tactile feel for it. That's typically what we do. Now, an ebook, on the other hand, is either an electronic version of that physical book, or ebooks never have had to be a physical book at all. And so you could go to Wikipedia to learn these a little bit more. The primary emphasis, the start of the book, happened with the Gutenberg press, and certainly the Bible, the best-selling book of all time, or the most shared book of all time, is the element that makes books so powerful was this press and certainly the words in the Bible. Now, we all want at some point in time as an author, we have a dream of writing the big book with such beautiful content and being published in a format and having sit in a library like this. Or even better, having that book sitting in a gorgeous library like that. That would be ultimately so cool. We, as you mentioned, it says PowerPoint stopped working. This is not a good thing. Okay, that's my first time that's ever happened. Apologize for a second. Let me bring this back up and see if we see if we can make that happen. All right, let's. I'm gonna change the display settings again. Melissa, you're gonna need to let me know if it's
Mhm.
working properly.
Yes, we are back up.
Okay,
Yeah.
back up. Hey, I apologize, guys. So we've published over 800 books. Here's one of the books we wrote by the late Mike Silverman. It's got over 100,000 words. It took him 3 years to write. The second edition, which was taken over for somebody who was working with Mike, took 9 months to do. So this is I call this the 300-page tomb. Now, if you look at what Marketo has done in the industry, Marketo has completely transformed what is an ebook. Marketo, if you go to their site, has hundreds of ebooks that represent really their 20-page PowerPoint presentations. And you know what? They get away with it. And you know what? The marketplace says, yes, this is an ebook. So an ebook is really a piece of information that transforms who you are. Matter of fact, we published a book from one of my favorite authors, Jeff Shavitz. We published a 40,000 word book. Size doesn't matter, which you could see on the left-hand side of the two books. We also published a AHA book, which is a 3,000 word book that has 140 bite-sized quotes. And what Jeff says to me, he goes, Mitchell, and he's got his friends and family to buy both copies. And he goes, Mitchell, and he's whispering in my ear. He goes, Mitchell, I love my AHA book better because my traditional book, I know my friends and family may have opened it once and they may have read a chapter, but I also know that they've read the entire AHA book. And so the question is, what is a book? And I would say the true value of a book is what you remember 6 months after reading it. So whether or not that's that 100,000 word book that may have taken you 100 hours to read, or that 3,000 word book that took the reader 10 minutes to read, and if they both remember the same thing 6 months later, which book is more valuable? All right, let's talk about what a social media enabled ebook is, an AHA book. And what the first point I'd like to make is just imagine for a second having content that is immediately actionable by not just you, but your growing fan base. 7-second sound bites that you can encourage other people to share for you. That's what the platform AHAthat is. And AHAthat is about sharing, authoring, and promoting content. We have over 37,000 pieces of curated content. It's the only platform with a 100% curated content in it. And you can go to AHAthat.com today, register for free, or even use it as a guest and share that content today for free. We're talking about authoring today, and so you can author your book in 8 hours or less. And then promoting, you could do it manually, or we now are in beta. Soon we'll turn it into production, but a tool called the AHA Blaster where you can automatically share content from the blaster. So you could basically turn it on automation mode and really focus on what's important in social media, and that's interacting with your clients. So here's a set. I'm obviously not going to read the names, but we have a large number of authors. As a matter of fact, over 300 authors who have written their books in 8 hours or less. This is what a bookstore looks like in AHAthat. It looks like any other bookstore. The only difference is when you click on one of these books, what's very cool is it looks like this. Think of this as 3 pages of a book. And any one of those pages can be instantly shared on the icons you see below. And I'm just going to go to the next slide, and I just basically blew up one of those pages. And this is a quote from Jill Raleigh, from her book, Jill Raleigh on Social Selling. And notice what's interesting here. You can click on The G at the far right is GaggleAmp for those corporate users, Google Plus, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. And what's interesting is if you share this content in your network, notice at the end, Jill Rawley's Twitter handle is there. So she's getting attribution. You're recognizing that she's the author, but your audience is also appreciating this content you're sharing. So let's say we clicked on Twitter, then it looks like this. Obviously a different quote. This is Liz Miller getting attribution for a quote she did. She's the CMO of the CMO Council. You click on tweet and you share the content. It is really that simple. So that's really what an AHA book is. And what I want to do is share with you how you can write your book in 8 hours or less. So if an AHA book is comprised of 140 bite-sized quotes, and those quotes are shareable, as we saw, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, GaggleAmp, where do you get your content? Well, if you look at the elements on the left-hand side, well, you pull them from presentations, Twitter streams, blogs, YouTube, white papers, books, webinars, collateral. Imagine getting them from crowdsourcing from your employees and creating an employee handbook. And let's say you're one of those individuals that have no content anywhere. Well, if you set up an interview and have it recorded, 2 hours of recorded conversation going back and forth is enough to pull out an AHA book. And what we do and how we do it is we've been doing this for years, and we've created an 8-step proven process. What's relevant here, and I'm not going to go through the details, although I will go through steps 1, 2, and 3. What's obvious here is that we have a scientific proven method that you can use to write your book in 8 hours or less. The blue stuff that you could see, the blue objects are what you do as author. The green stuff is what we do. And typically when you're publishing an AHA book, we create the cover, we do a copy edit, we do a content edit. Our job is to make sure that you come across as well as you possibly can. So let's talk about step 1. Think about step 1 as the blueprint. It is a Word document or a Google Doc. You're going to be filling in what's your name, what's your bio. What's the title of the book? Here's an important element. What is a 1-paragraph summary of that book? And then number 3 is probably the most important. Who is your audience? Who is your reader? And how will they benefit? So it's not that hard. Some people can do this in 20 minutes. Some people this takes 2 to 3 hours if you really haven't thought about your clients and what the book will look like. This is the blueprint in terms of what you're going to do and how you're going to write. It is extremely important to do this, and subsequently, after having published 800 books, this is a primary first step that we'd love to encourage people to do. Now, I've curated over 50,000 quotes, and having done that, I put together our best practices. And for those, whether or not you write an AHA book or not, go to this URL, AHAthat.com/author. And Melissa, why don't you just share that to everybody in the comment section? Go to that URL, and this is a 7 steps of how to create great AHA messages. And whether, like I said, whether or not you're right for us or not, please use this because it will just make the content you share that much better. Now let's talk about step 3. We've created an Excel spreadsheet. That Excel spreadsheet, let's say this again in slower terms. That Excel spreadsheet is used for you to put your content in. It's used for you to actually put your quotes. It'll tell you the character count. Now this one, we did a book from Albert Einstein's book. By the way, you want to share quotes from Albert Einstein, we've got the book available, Sun Tzu. We've got a lot of great public domain books. We did one recently on the Wizard of Oz. So you want to share quotes from the Wizard of Oz, we have that. What happens is this is where you fill in your content on the right-hand side when we're doing the copy edit. That's when our copy editors do the work. Now, I mentioned before we do a cover design, copy edit, and content edit. We do the content edit when you look at step 3 and you look at, you look at step 1 and you look at question number 3. Who is your audience and how do they benefit? Our copy editors read your answers in step 1, and we do a copy edit, which is English. We do a content edit to make sure that you're delivering on the promise you say you'll deliver. And that's really it. It's pretty simple. You can do the writing yourself, or if you are interested in crowdsourcing the content, We can create one of these for you. This is just a Google form where it's a questionnaire, or you could use SurveyMonkey or anything else. And this is where you could have your audience sharing the content. By the way, if you crowdsource the content of the book and you end up getting a couple hundred quotes, it'll take you about 4 hours to go through that content. So now you're writing a book in 4 hours instead of 8. Another thing that we just created is we created a form. So if you're these little notepads, if you're actually physically in front of an audience and you want them to fill out content, this notepad can be used. And I'm happy, feel free to reach out if you're writing books. We're happy to supply these for you. And it's pretty cool. I've got 2 presentations coming up this month where we're actually using these notepads for the first time. I am so excited to see what the end result will be. So one of the things that happens is people say to me, hey, Mitchell, I already have a book. I don't need AHAthat. All right, let me tell you about, as an author, 2 things that are relevant as AHAthat in terms of being an author on the platform. If you've not written a book before, or if you've not written a book on a very focused topic, you now can do it in 8 hours or less. Let's say you already have the book, it's already done. Well, the AHA book that you create turns out to be the social media content that you're using to market your existing book. Because when you put your AHA messages in place, you include URLs. And those URLs within your messages can point back to your web page, to Amazon, to SlideShare, to YouTube. Basically, it can augment and or sell your existing book. And then, of course, when you want to take your existing book and make it focused on a very specific audience, that's where the AHA book is also relevant and making it that much easier. So this quote, I love it. If you're already having a book, it's already done, it's already written, it's already published, or not published yet, why get credit for writing one book when you could also have a complementary social media marketing content book and get credit for 2? All right, I love this section. And I want to start with an auditory. Listen for this. That was my finger snapping. If you can snap your fingers and have a book, what would you do? You know, if you spend 8 hours and you write your book, what do you do with it? Well, one of the things you can do is not only have it as an AHA book, but we could take that book and turn it into a PDF. You could use that PDF at the top of your funnel for unlimited lead gen. We'll turn that book into a Kindle, so now you're listed on Amazon as an author. Or we can also turn it into paperback or hardcover. I'm going to give you another auditory. That's me banging on a hardcover book, and without knowing the content within it, you're going to say to yourself, wow, that must be a valuable book with really good content in it. And the answer is, I'll say yes. This particular one I'm banging on is the book that I wrote on why you should write an AHA book. And Melissa, if you could just share in the chat aha.pub, AHA.pub/AHA, and that'll bring anyone to the AHA book that I wrote. And we also just listed it on Amazon as a paperback and hardcover. This is an example of a book. Mark Dieterding, he wrote his book on Saturday. We turned it into both paperback and hardcover. He sent out a note to his clients. A number of them ordered it. And now as he's running seminars and classes, he gives these books. So these are a element that adds more value when he has people in the classroom or wherever he's running a material. He's giving these books, and his audience is appreciating him because they're taking this home, and this, guess what? A book goes on somebody's desk. Kevin Kreitman, she wrote her book on a Saturday. We only did an AHA book because we knew it was coming. We had created the cover ahead of time. We published her book on Sunday. 10 days later, she picked up a 5-figure consulting contract. So books work, as you know. Why not spend 8 hours to use it to create something new? And the thing that I'll say is if you go to ahathat.com/author, one of the videos there has 5 of our authors, including the great Lori Ruff, who's talking about the benefits of actually creating a AHA book. And so you can hear directly, that's like a minute-and-a-half video just talking about benefits of AHA book. Now let me tell you about promoting. This is, by the way, one of the biggest mistakes that we hear from authors, and I've seen many people do. I don't need to market my book. My publisher will, and the content is so good, news will spread like wildfire. Guess what, guys? It just doesn't work. To attract clients with a book or to attract clients with anything you do, it takes time, money, and effort. So one of the things I want to make sure you understand is the importance in today's world of creating your brand because you need your brand to create success. So how and where do you market? Well, there's so many megaphones out there, as many different places as you can. We have, in addition to step 2, which is a PDF you could download for yourself, and although it's a 8-step process, I really should change it from steps 9 to 10 to steps 9 to 100. There's a single page PDF on how to market yourself. So this is an eyesore to read. Feel free to go to AHAthat.com/author, print it out, and let me share with you a couple things you need to do. As a newly minted author, you should shout from the rooftops. Put the name of your book, your URL, and your bio, your business cards, your websites, LinkedIn, Facebook, your social media, anywhere you can. You know, hey, if it's appropriate, put it on your underwear. Anywhere you can, basically put the URL. With an AHA book, you get a customized URL, so put the URL to your book. You want to speak to groups on the topic of your book. You want to create an AHA book. Here's what's really fascinating. Create an AHA book by interviewing your prospects. How cool is it to be trusted because you're authoring a book, trusted by your prospects, interviewing for the book, publish the book, and guess what? During that time, you've turned that relationship into something other than what you're doing. Typically, you turn them into clients. Offer to crowdsource AHA books for groups you're part of. Who's looked at as the expert of the group? The person who actually pulls the book together. As a newly minted author, you should also get customers and sponsors to want to share your book, whether it's the AHA book or whether it's the physical books that they're going to share with their audience to drive more business. It's a great way for you to get your brand out to other locations. There are many things to do. Feel free to pick up the PDF and learn more. And let me share a couple closing thoughts and then take questions. The end result of your book is prospect awareness. So, one, why wait to generate the book why wait for that until the book is done? Why don't you interview others? This is a great way, as I mentioned, for you to actually reach out and meet people. In the future, you cannot claim to be an AHA leader without one or more books in the field that you specialize in. Well, take a particular question that your prospects have today, write a book on that, do it over the weekend, do it in an 8-hour stint, and now you're the author of a book on that topic. And more importantly, and I often hear people want to do a book and never get to it, take the quickest path to your book. It is well worth it. It's 8 hours. Make the time. If you can't make the time, hire somebody to do it for you. It will worth it, and you will be saying to your clients, hey, did you AHA that? This is the URL. If you go to the AHAthat.com/author page, step number 5 is where you can click on to actually make your purchase. You can either buy the AHA book, which is $450, cover design, copy edit, content edit, or at $950, we also will create a PDF that you could use for unlimited lead gen and the Kindle. And you're listed on Kindle as an author. When the book sells and makes money, we act as publisher, and you get 51% of content. So remember, as an author in our series, you own the copyright, and you get 51% of content. If you use the coupon code WS100, you will get $100 off either of those prices. So once again, go to AHAthat.com/author. Step number 5 is where you actually make your payment, and make sure you use the coupon code WS100, and that's how you can get $100 off. I'll answer questions while this is other places to meet me, but go to AHAthat.com, start sharing content today. You can go to LinkedIn and join the LinkedIn Thought Leadership Best Practices group or any of the websites that I have, and certainly happy to interact with you. And Melissa, do you have any questions that I should be answering?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mitchell. Everyone, why don't you go ahead and start asking your questions now in the questions panel, and we'll get to them in just a moment. And once more, I've sent you links that Mitchell mentioned in the chat panel, as well as the discount code WS100. So please look out for that in the chat panel as well. Let me go ahead and transfer back to my slides, and then we'll get into the Q&A. But please feel free to start asking some questions now.
So, Melissa, one of the things, and I didn't mention this in the presentation, I just thought I'd mention it after as I could talk just maybe a little bit slower. Uh, People say I often talk about the what and the how and not the why. So I gave you a great how and what. Here's the why. Let me tell you why I do it. I want you to be successful. I want to
Yeah,
allow anyone who's interested to be able to be recognized as the expert in their space. And there's no better way in the world to do it than a book, and you might as well do it with a book that can go super fast. And that's really my why is I'm excited to see you and you as the generic you be successful because you have a book, because that book makes you an expert, and because you're an expert, people want to hire you.
right.
It's that simple.
Yeah, I agree, Mitchell, wholeheartedly. I mean, I think it's one of the best ways to really stand out in your field nowadays and be a thought leader. Yeah, definitely. And I should be writing my book soon as well. So,
Awesome. I'll look forward to that.
yeah. So just a couple reminders, and then we'll get into the Q&A. So I'd like to invite everyone online to join us in our groups on LinkedIn and Facebook. You can Google Accomplishing More with Less or find some handy links on our website. You can also check out Pierre Kawand, our founder's new book, The Perfect 15-Minute Day. We have a Facebook page for that and also a LinkedIn page. And you can Google for that as well or find it on our website. You can also follow our founder, Pierre, on Twitter at Pierre Kawand. Some upcoming webinars that we're hosting at People on the Go. We have advanced Microsoft pivot tables coming up on the 16th, Google Docs and Drive on the 23rd, and then next month we have our new workshop, Mindfulness at Work, on March 2nd. Really cool workshop there, a new one there to get you going in all areas of mindfulness and productivity in the workplace. We also have a special event coming up that Pierre is presenting at on the 22nd in San Francisco if you are local. And I'm going to go ahead and give you this link as well. Let me see if I can do this here. There we go. I'm going to copy this. And yes, this is Design Thinking in a Nutshell, and it's hosted by the Association for Talent Development, Golden Gate. So please do go ahead and check that out at the link there. Awesome. And now for our Q&A. So let's go ahead and get into some questions. Okay, great. I have a question here for you, Mitchell. Now, I wonder if you've ever come across this. You've helped publish so many books, and we all know that each of us have our own strengths in our field, and some people maybe don't consider themselves a strong writer. So, how do you suggest? How does your method help people who maybe don't consider themselves strong writers? Who maybe that's kind of a block for them, why they wouldn't maybe turn the corner and want to write an AHA book.
Well, actually, almost by definition, the AHA book makes it a little bit easier. The AHA book, think of this as you already have the pre-digested content, right? It's 140 quotes that any one of which should be able to give your reader that aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's much harder. Well, it depends. We've heard many people say it's harder to write a shorter note than a longer note. Um, but when you're looking at a aha book with aha moments, the 140 these bite-sized quotes, if the author is really stuck, first I'll re-emphasize, go to step number 2, download the PDF on what makes a good aha message. But if the author's really stuck, what can happen is you can write the elements in whatever format you want, whether it's long, whether you speak them into a microphone, and if you just can't pull out those aha moments, it's so easy to hire anyone. You can go to Upwork and hire people to pull out the ahas. What will happen, though, when it reaches us, our copy editors, our content editors, if and I don't mean this in any offensive way, if your stuff really stinks, we'll let you know, right? Um, and because what happens is I often get excited when I read the answers to the step number one, what somebody wants to do with it. And then we want to make sure that the spreadsheet, that the aha messages reflect that. And even yesterday, I had two phone calls with authors. One of which was, "Hey, you didn't do it. The spreadsheet, your aha messages don't reflect who you really are." And
Right.
so, oftentimes, what will happen is our copy editors or content editors may go in. If you submit as 140, we may go in and change the first 10 and say, "Hey, these are more powerful. What do you think?" And and I think the issue is first get your stuff on paper, and it's so much easier to correct yourself. You put your stuff on paper, or in this case in Excel. You then give it a night's sleep. The next day you'll be able to fix it because it'll
Mhm.
just be a different person. And if we come in and give you 10 updates of the 140, guaranteed you'll get that much better at updating the content yourself.
That's great. Thank you so much, Mitchell. Nick here has a wonderful comment. He says, "Legend says that Voltaire wrote a history of the world in 2 volumes. He said that if he had more time, he could have done it in one," which I think is very great. And
Oh, it's a great comment because we a lot of times rewrite the way we speak. And
Mhm.
what happens a lot of times for me personally, if somebody asks me a question, I'll give them a paragraph or two response, and then I'll step back and say, "Oh, wait, the aha moment is this," and then I'll give them the one thought,
Right,
right?
right.
And that's what we need to do, and that's really what the aha concept's about. Is you're presenting to the world your summarized points that any one of which can completely transform somebody's life.
Yes, it's much more actionable content if it's more succinct. We have another question here, and then this is going to have to be our last as we're a little bit over time. Mitchell, can you tell us a little bit more? You mentioned crowdsourcing content. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, absolutely. So here's where it's really fascinating. We You can do it in whatever group you're part of. Um, you can do it, for instance, I'm towards the end of this month, I'm going to be in front of somewhere between 50 to 60 consultants, and I'm helping an author who's actually writing a book, and the book she's writing is on uh, nice icebreakers. And what I'm going to do is we're going to hand out the notepads, and we're going to say, "Hey, what was your favorite icebreaker, and how did it work?" And she's going to incorporate into her aha book
Mm,
somewhere between 40 to 100 responses from those people in the audience.
right.
And by the way, just for kicks and giggles, since we know it's ahead of time, we'll do the cover ahead of time. We'll have everything processed. We'll publish the aha book the next day, just so the audience gets excited about it. Another example was a classroom. We had a teacher who did an aha book with her students. It was a college level marketing class. It was a senior level class. All 72 students in the class contributed one or two quotes each. 6 months later, the teacher came back to me and told me that 50% of her classroom specifically said they got their first job because they were part of this aha book, right? And so what happens, and we included everyone's name and Twitter handle as on the book itself. So what's interesting is think about doing this as an employee handbook. Think about doing this as a
Mhm.
culture book at an organization, and having your employees or having the employees of the company contribute content of what does culture mean to me. And so crowdsourcing largely means that you're having other people share content, and each person who contributes, you're giving them attribution because you're including their Twitter handle or their LinkedIn profile in the quote that they're sharing. It
Right.
is extremely powerful as a thought leader to quote other people, and there's no better way than doing it. And once again, along the way, the benefit I mentioned before, but the benefit is everyone who's part of your book that helped contribute to it is looking at you in a different light, in a very positive light.
I think that's great, and it really helps with the writing process and cutting down on time, but also getting more hands on deck really, and getting more people involved, which is always great in terms of content. Well, we're definitely over time here, but I want to thank you all for sticking with us. Thank you again, Mitchell. Really compelling presentation, and one little reminder here is that when you exit today, a feedback form will pop up on your screen, and we would really appreciate your feedback. So thank you all once more. I hope you check out the links provided, and we look forward to having you in a future session.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Melissa, and thank Pierre for having me on the two parts. It was a lot of fun. Take care, everybody. Look forward to seeing you online.
You got it. Likewise, Mitchell. Bye bye.